This week's episode is brought to you by Alex D, who suggested the featured movie on our Facebook page. Thank you very much for the movie suggestion, Alex. This was very entertaining for me. I'm going to leave it up to all you guys to decide whether or not this was good or bad, because I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of mixed opinions about it. And I'm not going to say anything else about it. I want to keep it in suspense. You're just going to have to listen to the episode. But if you do have a movie suggestion for us, just like Alex did, we're going to tell you all the ways you can do that at the end of the episode. And now, let's begin. Mike, please, cue the music. Welcome to episode 58 of the Graveyard Shift Horror Podcast, where each week we watch a movie from the horror category, usually suggested by one of our beautiful listeners, and we break it down into the good, the bad, and sometimes the downright confusing. We'll talk about the plot, when there is one, some production details, when we can find them, and anything else that is fun or relevant when it exists. Why do I sound like there's not a lot to talk about in regards to this week's movie? Well, that's because there's really not. But whatever I have to talk about, I don't want to talk about it alone. Please say hello to a guy that was definitely not from the silent era, my co-host Mike.
Hey, everybody.
Mike, how are you?
I'm still reeling a little bit from that implication, but I'm otherwise doing okay.
Yeah, you'll get over it. But
if I had a player piano, you'd get the vague idea of what my emotional state is.
Good one. Guys, I gotta tell everyone about this. I really do have to get this off my chest before we start talking about the movie, and it's about somebody. I guess Mike and I had a falling out with somebody. I wouldn't really call this person a friend, but we'll say an acquaintance at least. A mutual acquaintance. And, this person, we thought was pretty cool. We thought was pretty funny. We both seemed to like this person. And a while ago, they really started talking some trash about our show. And I don't mean criticizing per se, and I mean, we're fine with some constructive criticism. In fact, we encourage it. We want to know if there's something that you're not particularly enjoying about the show, if there's some things we can change. If you disagree with something we said, that's all good.
Should I have more or less casual racism on the show?
The answer is, there's only one answer to that. But when somebody messages us and starts telling us how, the show is never going to succeed, get rid of Patreon because there's nobody that would ever pay to listen to this show or listen to us.
Why don't you talk about TV shows on your movie podcast?
Or why don't you change the format around? And then, that's one thing. But then this person also started insulting some of the guests that we've had on. And I mean, not just criticize something they said or whatever, just got plain rude and insulting. And we really weren't cool with that. Some of these guests are people we've never met in person, but we do have some kind of relationship with since they've been on the show. And, we think they're great. And some of them have even been actual personal friends of ours. And when somebody starts insulting them, then we're going to have a problem. And I confronted this person about it. I wasn't mean or wasn't a telling off per se, but I did bring it up. And this person got really, really offended because I kind of called him out on it. And that's what's going to happen. If you say something that I think you're out of line, I'm not going to be rude and try to cause trouble or anything like that, but I am going to call you out and tell you that, hey, that's not, don't do that. That's
not cool, and this is why.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You summed it up nicely. And so that was quite a while ago, and we, haven't spoken. And a little while ago, this person kind of kind of made the attempt to make everything, like, kind of like, patch things up. At least that's what it seemed like. But what I didn't like about it was that I'm fine with letting bygones be bygones. I mean, sometimes you say things you're not thinking, you're kind of heat in the moment type of thing, and a little while after, if it's nothing too serious, you can kind of let it go if this person apologizes. And
you can forgive if they're sorry.
Exactly. But when this person said that, I think we should both just apologize to each other.
Ooh.
I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, you don't even care why. Yeah, that's a person that doesn't even care why the other person's upset. They just want to start getting their way without really acknowledging their part in what went wrong.
Exactly. Like, I'm all for it. Like, man, I'm the type of guy that, I can hug things out, I can play nice, and I am pretty forgiving. When I think that there's something when there's something I think I should apologize for, yeah, absolutely. But this is a different situation. This was, and I hope I'm not sounding like I'm just being whiny or childish or holding on to a grudge or anything. Like, I don't think I am. And if anyone listening to this thinks I am, feel free to call me out on this too. That's fine. But I really don't think I am. And I'm saying I don't think I have anything to apologize for when all I did was call someone out and let them know that I'm not cool with them acting like a jerk towards us. And, so, and some other people that we've had on the show.
Yeah, I'm not sorry I was offended at your bad behavior.
Yeah, I'm not sorry that I called you out because you were being an ass. And so I just wanted to get that off my chest. And, I don't think there's really going to be any repercussions because of what happened or anything like that. I don't think this is going to be the type of thing, where someone's getting bashed on social media or anything like that. I hope not anyway. And if it is, it's fine. I personally really don't care. But I just want to make sure that for people listening, if there's people that know us mutually, and I want to make sure that, they're getting both sides of the story, because I'm pretty certain that anyone that we're mutual friends with or mutual acquaintances with, they're probably definitely going to get that other person's side of the story, because they seem like they like to really give their side of the story a lot. So that's it. That's just my gripe. I just wanted to make sure I cleared things up, said my piece about this. The other person wants to say their piece. They're welcome to it. I'm just, like I said, I'm fine for playing nice and letting bygones be bygones. I can get over things. I'm not the type of person to hold on to grudges. But I'm certainly also not the type of person to apologize when I've done nothing wrong. And for someone to expect that, get the fuck out of here. Back off with your fucking shit. That's not going to happen. So, there you go.
I'm sorry I told you that picking on people is bad.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah.
Hashtag that's all you're going to get.
Yep. That's it. And that's all I got to say about that. But anyway, oh boy. Wow. We really got something for you this week.
And this ends Sheldon's soapbox.
Yeah. Yeah, guys, we really got something for you this week, because I don't even know how to do this one, to be honest. After watching this one, I'm like, I really want to talk about this movie. I'm excited to talk about it. I just don't know how we're going to talk about it, because this is nothing, and I mean nothing, like anything we've done on the show in this year and a fraction of what
we thought we've seen some what the fuck festivals.
Yeah.
But nothing tops this. I had to watch this over the course of 3 days, because I would just break into hysterical laughter and just try to be like, okay, I have to mention this, but I can't keep mentioning every single part that has me busting my guts.
Yes.
Because we would never stop talking about it. But there's so much, there's some things we got to talk about. It can't be ignored.
Yeah. And what I mean is going to be hard to talk about. I mean it's going to be hard to talk about it in the way that we normally do things. We basically just strip everything down to the good and the bad, just like I said in the intro. It's just hard to do it for this one. We're going to certainly try, but we might end up just talking about the movie in general. We'll see. And And when I say that this is hard to talk about, I don't mean in a bad way at all. Because I'm going to be perfectly honest, I was thoroughly entertained with this. I certainly didn't feel like I wasted my time by watching it. And I would certainly recommend anybody check it out. But you have to be in a certain mindset to enjoy this. And you have to be okay with a very, very specific type of movie. This is not going to be for everybody. But with that being said, why keep everybody in suspense? Which I'm sure they're not in suspense if they read the title and the show notes at all. But anyway.
Or spoke with us in the last couple of days, because I was telling a few people I cannot believe what I'm watching.
Yeah, same with me. I told a few people about this, so I think a few people are actually going to check it out. But anyway, enough with that. Mike, why don't you tell everyone what we've got for them this week?
Today's episode is Hex Appeal, because we watched Haxan.
We sure did, and if you're curious about what Häxan is, well then, it's a tough one to explain because this is a 1922 silent movie, which is a very strange choice for an audio-only format show.
And it's not only a silent movie from 1922, it is a Swedish silent movie, so we get that lovely European sensibility.
Yeah, it was a Swedish...
That post-Great War Europe Swedish sensibility.
Yeah, it was a Swedish-Danish production. And it was sort of done in like a documentary type of style. It's...
With dramatic reenactments. And I use the term dramatic in the loosest sense because I would have used fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's basically, well, this is the description directly from Wikipedia. Häxan is a study of how superstition and the misunderstanding of disease and mental illness could lead to the hysteria of the witch hunts in the medieval times. So that's, and basically it is done like in documentary style because there are some parts of this movie, like it has divided up into different chapters. A chapter will always begin with, I was going to say the narrator, but is there a narrator in silent movies?
Well, the guy who dictates everything.
Yeah. So it's done a traditional way, like, you know, the way silent movies are done with the text cards and everything on the screen. These text cards, of course, being in Swedish, and then we watched it on YouTube, so then we have the English translations underneath it. And he would start off by like talking about some old manuscripts, even talking about some old paintings and things, and pointing them out. Literally, you would actually see like a little pointer on the screen pointing some certain things out and circling some things. And after he would talk about a specific part about the witch hunt craze and everything of the of medieval times, and then they would actually have like actors act out a scene based on what he just read. And I know this sounds ridiculous. Like there's no way for me to describe this that would make anybody think that this is something worth watching. But like I said, and it's not for everybody. I understand there's going to be some people that are going to check this out and they're going to think these guys have something wrong with their brains.
Well, that is true. It's still amazing to watch.
Yes. While if somebody said that to me, I would say you're probably right, and I have not been tested. But that doesn't take away from the fact that I really enjoy watching this. And this is something that every once in a while, my wife is not the hugest horror fan. Every once in a while, she will watch one of the movies we cover for the show. Some, she'll sit down, she'll watch a little bit of it, and then she'll walk away. Some she'll sit down and actually watch and say, this is pretty good. And this one actually fell into the latter. She loved this. She watched the whole thing and said, this was actually very entertaining. And so, I guess, Mike, do you want to do it this way? Do you want to do our normal thing and just do the good and the bad?
I think we can do the good and the bad, and if we come up a little short or we feel that just wasn't succinct enough, then we can get into more general overviews, because somebody didn't tell me we might be switching the format of the notes.
Yeah, this was kind of a last-minute type of thing when I saw how much of a mess my notes were.
So I did this in our typical format, despite my struggles in doing so. So I don't want that work to go to waste.
Yeah, you know what? I should just run with it, just because, like, I'm glad you just took any type of notes anyway. So, all right, so let's do that. We'll talk about the good, the bad, and the confusing. And these things can be whatever we want. It can be something as broad as a overall theme, or something as specific as a certain scene, certain piece of dialogue, which... Is there dialogue in the silent movie again?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure how to...
I've sent you screenshots dictating that there is some dialogue, and boy, are they humdingers.
Yeah, there's just nobody speaking any lines, that's all. You have to read everything. Okay, so yeah, we'll do that. So once again, we'll start off with the good, and we'll start with Mike. So tell me something good about Häxan.
Well, in the first part, we talk about the appearances of demons, shamans, and spirits in general before we assembled a particular devil. And one of the among the many cool things, including spirit animals, which looks to be like the very first furry party on film. This guy has, I don't know if he found it or if he made it according to someone else's instructions, but it's a mechanical diorama of hell from the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
And so many parts of these, it's just like hand activated or mechanical. I don't know if it's like all things connected to one thing or if like you just like have multiple people puppeting it. But there is so much going on in hell. You got little devils with wooden puppet arms that will move bits of coal into a hopper to boil people or poke people with pitchforks. Others have like mechanical flames bellowing back and forth. It is for something that, if this man is to be believed that it was made in the 1500s, this is some damn kick-ass diorama.
I would pay a lot of money to have that diorama in my house. That thing was amazing.
It's huge. It's huge, too.
Yes, I'd probably have to build another room in my house just to have some place to put it.
This is my hell room.
Yeah.
And I do not regret the thousands of dollars it took to make it.
Yeah, that thing was amazing. I love that. And what a way to kick it off, too. I mean, like, oh, this is what we're in for. A little history lesson. Okay. So, yeah, so freaking great. Okay, so first thing I got on my list, and I don't want to say the first thing on my good list because I kind of made this note at the end of the movie, but I kind of made little notes going throughout, and it's all the camera work, like the special effects and everything that they did throughout this movie. I don't know if this guy pioneered it. Like I didn't find, when doing my research, I didn't see anything like that. But considering this is 1922, it was pretty damn impressive. Some of the things he did, like they did film matting, where they're combining two different films, like shot separately and combined together to make like kind of a ghostly effect.
Yeah, for spectral images of witches flying through the sky.
Yeah, and then there was like doing like reversing the film to give the appearance of things moving, like there's
gold being poured into the sky.
Yeah, and just there was some stop motion animation, and to consider that this movie is nearly 100 years old, that was pretty damn impressive.
Oh, and beyond that is, like, this goes into one of my goods, the production values.
Mm-hmm.
The costumes. There's a scene where women are giving birth to the offspring of their little trysts with the devil, and we see these demon monsters coming out from under the birthing table, and for costumes from this time, it's downright horrifying.
Yeah, like
these do not look cheap.
No, it did not. I couldn't find anything in regards to like what it cost to make this, and I guess it wouldn't make sense like compared to today's monetary values. But
their budget was 1.5 to 2 million kroner, making Haxan the most expensive Scandinavian silent film in history.
Wow.
This had a 1 million kroner budget.
I have no idea what that means. So that means absolutely nothing to me. I've got nothing to compare that to understand.
I don't know what the Swedish exchange rate is, but again, 2 million or at least 1.5 million in 1922.
Yeah.
Adjusted for inflation would still make it pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, well, because considering it's 1922, the production value did look high, especially when you consider it compared to other silent movies that came from the 20s, the ones that are actually more well known. You take for like Nosferatu, the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. These are the well known ones, and the production value on this movie looked much higher than those. So I think the guy that made this actually had some coin to spend. Like, I don't think this was like kind of a grassroots type of thing where they did any fundraising or anything like that. I think this guy pretty much had some serious cash to begin with. So yeah, as far as, I guess the good point I was trying to make here is that the production value on this thing is high for 1922. All right, so what else you got?
There's a scene where this woman asks for a love potion to seduce a man of the cloth, and I'm thinking, oh, this must be like some decent-looking priest dude. And when we see him, he is what I imagine I will look like in 50 years if I decide to not take care of myself, and this podcast has driven me into homelessness.
You're talking about the friar guy?
Oh boy, friar fucked is more like it. This
Wow.
guy is fat, slovenly. He doesn't use any utensils, and the way this woman is feeding him, I don't know what she's seeing in him, but she's just giving him the eyes, and he's just like, more meat, nom. And then she gives him this, I don't know, like a thing. What did she call the first one? Like a distillation of cat feces and mercury or some shit?
Yep.
Definitely cat feces. Probably not mercury. I think it was like toad's bloat or something.
Mm-hmm. So basically, she's going to roofie this guy.
Yep. And he takes a sip, and of course he's just like, ugh, what the hell is this? Then he starts giving her like the cutesy eyes. And then she's just like, okay, well, he's starting to notice me. But can you give me something to rile him up a bit more? And then when she does, he starts chasing her around the table, and she's just like throwing her apron in the air, and they're like,
oh yeah. Like the only thing missing from that scene was yakety sax playing.
Yeah, and he's like giving her a bunch of like little pecks on the cheek, and then the third one, she's just like, this isn't enough. Like, forget the kissing. I want some D. And I don't know what she gives him for the third one, but they're going outside, and he's just like ready to take her into the bushes.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing from start to finish, like the acting, the fact that this guy is so, like, the way he's eating, like, food and shit are squirting out of his mouth. He's eating far more than his mouth can contain. And food is like falling out of him. And she's just like, fuck, I need that on me and in me.
Yep, she was ready to go. So yeah, I thought for sure, and I'm not going to be making, I don't want to be talking about somebody's looks, but this was like a middle-aged woman, like just generally what you would think of, like when it comes to looks, pretty plain looking. And so she goes to a witch for a love potion. So we thought, oh, this is going to be like a super handsome guy that she's trying to seduce. And goddamn, think of Friar Tuck from Robin Hood, but he may have a slight case of leprosy. So that was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, this was after talking about, like, once again, like I said, this thing was kind of like a documentary. They'll talk about certain aspects about witchcraft, things like that. And this was about witches making potions and ointments, things like this. And then we actually get like a little scene played out where somebody purchases a potion from a witch. So, yeah, good stuff. So, next I got on my list, because this guy shows up quite a bit. And This was definitely something good because this made me laugh so much. I don't know if it was trying to be funny or serious, but it is the devil.
Oh, fuck, that's my next good. The devil. Oh my god. This is the big segment of our show. Everything else is downhill from here.
Oh yeah, definitely. This guy is just... I think he's completely naked. Is he? Because I think we only ever see him from, like, the waist up.
And it's the director himself.
Yeah, the director actually played the devil. So, but he's just got horns on his head. Just this normal-looking guy, just like this normal...
He's got horns on his elbows, too.
Yeah, he's just a normal-looking guy, like an overweight, bit of a pudgy guy. Bald head. Got horns on his head, some horns stuck on his arms. But the entire time, every time he's on the screen, he's got the best expression on his face. He's looking around like... The only thing I can describe is that everything is amazing to him. His eyebrows are up, and he's just looking around all over the place, and sometimes he'll squint like he's like, oh yeah, look at that. But the best part about his look is that his tongue is never in his mouth.
He's always like a very curious snake.
Yeah, his tongue is just like flickering the whole time. And it's just the best. And I thought, like, oh my god, this is the best version of Satan ever in anything I've ever seen. And I was like, I'm cracking up. I had to rewind the movie because I just laughed for like 2 minutes straight and completely missed anything else that was on the screen. And so I got to rewind this back and play it so I can actually read some of the subtitles. And goddamn, if that wasn't good enough, then we get a scene of him sitting behind a butter churn.
Oh.
Honest to God, there is no way to misconstrue what was supposed to be happening in this scene. Okay, one thing, this is next on my good list, so I want to talk about it. I'll kind of combine these two together, because one of the things that got on my list was, considering this is 1922, this movie, not by our standards, of course, but by 1922 standards, this movie was pretty graphic. Like, there's some nudity in it, and don't get excited, calm down. When I say nudity, you're going to see some side boob, and you're going to see some butts. But, like, again, considering this is 1922, that was pretty liberal. And we see this guy, Satan, looking at this woman, and he's sitting behind a butter churn and just churning as fast as he can. Now, there has never been a more clear sign of something that's supposed to represent somebody masturbating of anything I've ever seen in any other movie. Holy crap, I did not expect to see that.
Oh, man. Everything this guy does, from taunting priests... At one point, he throws a window open, and he's trying to lure a woman who's in bed with her husband. And he throws open the door, and he's throwing his arm back like, come on, girl, come on and play. And she's just like, no. And he starts like throwing the arm even more, like, come on, I'm the fucking devil. You know I'm going to show you a good time. And that tongue never stops moving. Like, he might as well be saying, like, come on, girl, you churn my butter, and I'll put this tongue to good use. And she's just not, she's not going for it. She's a good, pious woman. But then I think he shows up in her house and takes her anyway.
It is. So. And it's like we see all these scenes, like, and then all of a sudden it just cuts to this scene, and this could be like, I don't know how long, this could have been 20 minutes or more later. It just cuts to this scene where he's just strangling the fuck out of her.
Yeah.
He's just got like sitting behind her, has his hands around her throat, and it's just throttling her.
Still throwing that tongue out in epic joy.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about a little bit of, a little playtime of like, oh yeah, choke me daddy. No, this is full-out strangulation. He is trying to murder her. And it just came out of nowhere. Just like all of a sudden it just popped on the screen. Holy shit. It's like, I'm going to show you a good time, but your tote's going to be dead afterwards.
Or, well, I think it's because she said no to him, and you don't say no to the devil. He is the offer you cannot refuse. But everything about this guy, and at one point we get shown this woman being given an inquisition And it gets depressing because the way they treated women back then were horrible based on like the slightest accusation.
Man, for a big segment in the middle of this movie, this gets dark.
And long.
Yep.
But, at this point I'm thinking like, well, the best is behind us. It's all downhill from here. And then what happens when we talk about women in the nunnery? Who shows up again but our favorite guy, the devil. Apparently, God's house has bad security because he's already in there. And he's trying to lure a girl to do some terrible things to a statue of Jesus. And she says, "Get thee behind me, Satan." So he disappears and then he pops up behind her with a fucking club and gives her a concussion.
Yes, he just whacks her. Oh my God.
I mean, if this was made 10 years later, you know that there would be cartoon birds and stars circling her head.
This wouldn't have been on a movie 10 years later, dude. This would, like, seriously, like, this was made in 1922. By the time they got to 1930, they really, really pulled back on what they would actually commit to film.
The Hays Code, I think, came out in 35? Or was beginning to come out in 33, but this was in Europe, so that wouldn't have applied.
Yeah.
But fuck, I mean, when she says, "Get behind me, Satan," and he's just like, "Well, careful what you wish for." Yep. And then he just sucker clubs her. And she ends up staggering around the church, and he's just following her, flicking that tongue with a big old smile on his face, like, "That's me."
You mean, that's me?
That's me.
Oh my God, yes, he's my new hero. He's the greatest character ever. When somebody says, like, "Hey, who's your favorite horror icon from now on?" Oh, it's the devil from Häxan.
Yeah, the Häxan devil. He is absolutely amazing. And I think the demon from Tenacious D's Tribute was a knock on this guy. Because he looks a lot like him.
Oh, the devil at the end, you mean? Or
yeah.
Yeah.
The one the demon who appears in the middle of the road and says, "Play the best song in the world." He looks like the Häxan devil.
Yeah. You know the devil in that movie was played by Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters? And, of course, if you're not familiar with the Foo Fighters, you're definitely familiar with Nirvana. So Dave Grohl, lead singer of the Foo Fighters, or the drummer from Nirvana, whoever you want to know him as.
Yeah, so that's pretty darn good. And, yeah, there are so many times the devil does such fucking amazing shit. He seduces this old lady. Like, apparently this guy's like Ben Franklin. Like, he doesn't matter about the young girls. The old pussy is where it's at for him.
Yeah.
And he waits for this old lady to fall. And I guess because, it's not enough to be old. It has to be old and vulnerable. And that's when he just starts really churning his butter. And he takes her away to his pad. And afterwards, she's lying in bed. And he just showers her. He gives her like a coin bukkake.
Jeez.
And when she wakes up, she's just like, "Oh, wow." And she starts gathering up all these coins, puts it in her apron / cloth / dress thing that old women wear. And she puts it on the table, and then it just gets sucked up into space. Like, he's just like, "Sorry. It made you think." And then more of the coins get sucked out, and then she gets treated to a furry convention with more people dancing and shit. And then we get to see another one of these a stop motion devil baby breaking through a door, and it's a good looking devil baby for stop motion.
Oh, absolutely.
And then she tries to open up this door, and then we see like the devil's face in a wall, and this is some trippy shit. Like, the devil, like, he'll fuck with you after fucking you. Like, this guy, the party never stops with him.
Nope, that's for sure.
So, yeah, if you're watching this movie and you're getting bored, wait until the devil shows up. You will never, ever be satisfied with another devil again.
I know there's people going to be bored with this. Like I said, this is certainly not for everybody, and I know there's going to be people that are going to watch this movie after we talk about it, and they're going to message us and actually say, "What the fuck is wrong with you two?" But screw
Well,
you.
you saw the movie, you know exactly what it is.
Yeah. Okay, what else you got for the good?
There's a part where he kind of breaks the time frame after demonstrating some of the medieval tools. And he says, one of my actresses insisted on trying the thumb screws. And we get to see her put it on, and she's just like, oh, wow, that hurts. I can see why. Blah, blah, blah. She's just like, he's not really hurting her. And so she's just like, wow, I can't believe people use this shit. And then he throws in like a nice little thing like, I won't reveal what she confessed to me.
Yeah, he's a little cheeky, the director of this movie. I did like that, though. They kind of like broke, I guess, like, kind of is the equivalent of turning the camera around or opening the curtain, and actually talked about, like, that one of the actresses actually wanted to try one of these authentic medieval torture devices.
Yeah, and he also has the old lady who played a witch in the movie. He actually like has her tell some stories about how her encounter with a quote actual witch.
Yes, she said. Oh yeah, she said the actress is saying she actually does believe in witches because she's seen them before.
So, and then the comments this guy makes, like little side comments, it just shows that the devil is only one aspect of his cheeky nature. He is always a coy little bastard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
And my final good is after the devil gives that girl a concussion in the nunnery, and she walks around with a statue of Jesus, and everyone, she stabs the little Eucharist that they keep in the tabernacle.
Yep.
She stabs that with a knife, and then she starts laughing and dancing around, and all the other nuns start laughing and dancing.
Holy shit! They go batshit crazy.
They're like the cartoon. They're like the cartoon wackos from Trick or Treat.
Yeah, they're just like, oh my god, they just like go nuts. One just cracks up. She starts cracking up and laughing and starts dancing around. So everyone's like, oh okay, me too.
Well, Christ has been killed in the church. We're all going to hell. Might as well dance. We're fucked.
Yep, pretty much. That's pretty much it. It was
there ain't no party like a devil party.
What movie did we watch where some of the movie took place in an actual like mental institution and people were just like dancing around and jumping around all in? I want to say all insane, but of course they're in a mental institute. But I mean,
wasn't it Trick or Treats?
It was. Yeah, actually, it was. Yeah, because people were just jumping around all over the place, and just like everybody is like, okay, nobody knew how to act, and you said, okay, everybody act crazy. And so people just like decided that that means act like I just snorted a big bag of bath salts.
Yeah, so I'm all out of goods. How about you? There must be more good to talk about this movie.
Yeah,
although after the devil, it's going to be pretty hard to hit that bar.
Yeah, I know. Like everything else seems like a little bit pale by comparison now, and I think I've pretty much hit everything. Like just the imagery of the movie, I love that. I love this this silent movie look, man. It's just something about it that I find so pleasing, like so aesthetically pleasing. It's just I've really got like a soft spot for silent movies. And not even just from horror movies, but like just silent movies in general. I find them so entertaining. And I guess just because like this is like we're seeing some of the pioneering of movies itself, like movie technology. Yeah, I just find it absolutely amazing. Like I can't believe that this movie is almost 100 years old. When you think about it, that's pretty freaky. And so. I guess just because, like, I mean, and I want to say, like, I said this is pretty progressive. Like, this guy had balls to take on the task of committing this stuff to film. Because I'm pretty sure this was a pretty taboo subject. And so, like, I think that was pretty gutsy of him. And the portrayal of it, like, they actually did, like, for a moment, it's, like, there's a lot of stuff in this movie that was pretty silly. Like, you can't help but feel that they tried to play up a bit of, play up the comedy a bit. Like, make it a little more funny than serious. But, like, what we talk about, when they got serious, man, it got dark pretty fucking quick. And, of course, that's in regards to the whole... the actual persecution of women as witches. And I'm going to segue that, like, from my last good point into my bad. And I don't want to say bad as in, like, this is bad about the movie itself. But, man, me and my wife talked about it afterwards, and it's pretty insane when you think about living in this time. Basically, anyone could just go make an accusation about witches. I don't like this person, so I think she's a witch. And it was just that simple. All of a sudden, like, medieval ice shows up and just throws a sack over your head and carts you away. And once that happens, basically your choice is either confess that you're a witch and die right then, and not, just like slowly by like being burned at the stake, or suffer a lot of torture and then die anyway.
After you just confess that they'll kill you so the torture stops.
Pretty much. And then this person, like, so this woman, the old woman that gets accused of being a witch and gets taken away and tortured, towards the end, after days and days of torture, she pretty much says, like, yes, I'm a witch, and these are the other people that are witches, and basically names her accusers.
Which is fucking great.
Now, do you think this is because, like, was she actually a witch? Did she kind of, like, after days of torture, being thirsty and hungry, kind of like her mind's all muddled, so she just likes naming names? Or do you think, like, this was, I'm not going to get out of this. These people accuse me of being a witch, and now I'm going to die. So fuck them. What I'm going to do is, because they fucked me, I'm going to fuck them. This is like my last little bit of revenge.
That's what I'd like to believe.
Yeah.
That she's just like, how many people do I know? Well, how about I just name everybody? Because...
Yes. And so
fuck the world.
So because there was basically three women that accused her. She, like, during her torture, she accuses one of them. So they go after her. And when they're grabbing her to put her in the cart, one of the other women tries to intervene, and apparently you're not allowed to do that either. You're not allowed to defend somebody that they've accused of being a witch, because that means you're a witch as well, so they take both of them away. And the final woman of this family, there's one woman left, she goes to the, what would you call it, just like the religious authorities. I'm not finding the words, like, to...
The Inquisition?
Yeah, she goes to the Inquisitors to kind of beg to them, like, oh, these women are not witches, please let them go. And while doing this, she grabs one of the young Inquisitors by the arm, and he starts having sexual fantasies about her. And so that must mean she's a witch as well, so they take her as well.
That guy, when he's just like, I'm having impure thoughts, brother, please help me. So the guy's like, all right, take your shirt off. He grabs the whip, and it's basically, I'll make sure you don't have any impure thoughts about women.
Yeah.
And he starts whipping the shit out of this guy, and when he quits, the guy's like, oh, I didn't say stop.
Yeah, he was like, well, all I've learned from this is that I enjoy being whipped.
Yeah. Why did you stop?
And, like, that's all it
And
takes.
the guy's like, oh shit, you got it bad.
Oh, this guy is like, he's so hard up that he can't close his eyes without seeing this woman in his fantasy, so that must mean she's a witch.
Yeah, who would have thought that enforced celibacy and sexual frustration could manifest themselves? Oh, wait, anybody.
Yeah, and so... Yeah, so...
So now she gets pinched.
And
my gosh.
And when I say, like, this, I put this in the bad, not because that I think that the movie did this badly. The thing is, the movie did this, like, spot on, because everything we know about the whole Inquisition and the witch trials, this is the way it happened.
Yeah, and you're feeling for these, for the characters.
Like, they're strung up, they're, like, just so broken. And then there's
one guy's even torturing her with freedom.
Yeah, like, there's not even just mental, like, not even just physical torture, like pain torture. There's psychological torture. Where, hey, look, the guards are all gone, the door's unlocked, I can let you go. Hey, all you need to do is tell me how to, what is it, like, conjure thunder or something like that?
Yeah, make thunder with the water. And I was just like, what, you mean splashing?
And she's like, oh, I don't know, I'm not a witch. And he's like, no, tell me how to do it. And all she did is, like, all she said was, Well, I don't know, but I heard people talk about this before. It's like some passing merchants and everything talk about this, and I think this is how they did it. And so for that was enough. Oh, she's obviously a witch, so burn her.
Oh, and what the absolute worst part is they're just like, listen to that child crying. No one else in the house can look after them. Never mind that's our fault. And if you just confess, then somebody will be able to look after this child. So after telling her they bring the kid nearby so you can hear the baby crying through the door.
Yeah.
What cunt. What these guys are cunts.
Yeah, and I love the way...
It's a strong word. It's a strong word for it's strongly deserved by these people.
Yes. And I loved how the director put this, is that, then after cleansing this town, the Inquisition moved on. And he didn't say, the way he didn't say, oh, and then they moved on to the next town that was suffering from, the epidemic of witchcraft. It's like, wherever they went, the epidemic of witchcraft seemed to rise. It's just, because you basically go pull into town, and anybody that did the slightest little thing was accused as a witch. And then anybody that tried to stop them from the accusers were also accused of being a witch.
That's what you get for being a gossip.
Oh, for fuck's sake. No wonder I have a problem with religion.
Or that's what you get for being a reasonably attractive woman who can read.
Oh, God.
That's what you get.
Yeah.
I mean, if, God forbid you're pretty. Because if the miller is, checking you out when you pass by the market, well, fuck, witchcraft. It has to be witchcraft that's seducing my husband, not the fact that I'm sitting at home with several kids that I birthed and my body has taken a natural toll. Age and living have done to me what they should. And now my husband's looking at someone who hasn't been despoiled by the ravages of life. No, never mind the fact that it's you've been put through the ringer. He's going to look at other girls. Be a decent wife and he'll stay with you. I mean, it's okay to check out other women as long as you're not hey, check out her. As long as you're not a real asshole that's just wow, why don't you look like that? Fuck you. But if you're just giving a side eye nice. As long as he comes home to you, just be realistic.
Yeah. So this wasn't, like I said, what I mean about this section about the witches is not that, the witch trials, I should say, is not that the movie did it badly, it's just that, the whole thought of it just bummed me out. So I put it on my bad list. It's this actually makes me kind of sad when I think about how many innocent people suffered during those times. And, it just, right now, the thought of it makes me sad and angry. So I didn't really know what else to put in for the bad, really, because anything else that I could think of as bad is just because it's a product of its time, really.
My biggest bad was that the movie just feels too damn long.
But, there is another version of this movie, because this movie was re-released in the U.S. in the 60s. And I think it was even renamed. It was Witchcraft Through the Ages, something like that. And what they've done with the U.S. version is that they've cut out all the title cards, and they actually had somebody do a voiceover.
Yep, and it was William S. Burroughs, the same William S. Burroughs that at a drunken house party with his wife said, "Hey, let's do the William Tell act," where he tried to shoot a shot glass off her head and missed the glass. And nothing else.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Thanks, Siri.
Are you Siri? I'm totally Siri.
Wow. Oh my God. My phone's a fucking idiot.
Yeah, William S. Burroughs, he accidentally killed his wife in 1951. It was at a house party, and he was just hey, let's do William Tell. And I'm pretty sure it had nothing to do with the fact that they were having a bad marriage, because he kept fucking around with guys, and she just stayed home drinking and doing drugs.
Holy shit.
Yeah, they had... Yeah, because this was the same William S. Burroughs that hung around with Jack Kerouac. and Allen Ginsberg, like the beatnik generation from the 40s that gave rise to the hippies in the 60s. And yeah, he killed her at a house party, and they can never get the story straight because some people said it was a William Tell act, and some people say that he was trying to sell the gun, and it just went off when he was, handling it. So no one could get their story straight, except she got a bullet in her skull.
Wow.
That's the one part everyone could verify.
Holy shit.
And he ended up fleeing Mexico because of it. So he was found guilty in absentia.
Jesus.
And then he went on to write movies, books like The Naked Lunch, which became a movie about his basically his life, including in that movie him killing a woman by trying to shoot something off of her head.
Naked.
So he was never sorry about. Like, he's just like, wow, killing my wife really worked out great for my career.
Wow. Naked Lunch. As Nelson from The Simpsons said, I can think of two things wrong with that title. Yeah, so apparently this edited version, like I said, it takes out all the text cards. So, and it's actually narrated by Burroughs. It cuts the runtime of the movie down from 104 minutes to 74 minutes. So literally chops half an hour off.
Wow.
Now, if you can put up with that, if you want to check it out that way, if you're not big on reading subtitles and things, like, yeah, do that one. But do you remember one of the things, and I should have put this on my good list, I don't know why I didn't, the music in this movie.
Oh, it fits.
Very much like a haunting piano rendition, like so good. Apparently, for the U.S. version, that didn't quite cut it, so they removed the original movie and music and substituted it with a upbeat jazz score.
Oh, fuck. That's what happens when you put a fucking pill-popping beatnik in charge.
Yep. It's very off-putting. If you get a chance to check that version out, like, do it, because holy shit. Someone was definitely on something. Reefer madness, I tell ya.
Benzodril blues.
So yeah, so I don't know what else to say. Like that's bad about this movie. Like it's like I said, like anything I've got to say bad about it is just because it's a product of its time. So I don't want to down it for that. But it just
me
I just want to reiterate
felt...
that some people are not going to enjoy it. It's not for everybody. Even for people that would be okay with it, you've kind of got to be in the right frame of mind. It's not like something the edge of your seat exciting or anything like that. There's not going to be any scary moments. I'm fine with watching like documentary type movies, so I mean you have to be, I'm okay with it, but I can completely get that there's going to be a lot of people that are just not going to get it, not going to be interested, so be it.
Yeah, my only other bad was that the Witch Inquisition should have ended, at least in my opinion, with the old lady and the Keystone Cop style capture of everybody in the fucking house. Because they're throwing bags over everybody. It's like that bedroom intruder guy. They're coming in your windows. They're coming in your doors. They throwing burlap sacks over everybody in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And
it should have that Inquisition scene should have ended, because that was like 30 minutes of bumming. That I needed the devil to save me, and who showed up afterwards? But our hero, our Lord and Savior, the devil. But there's like a nice half hour without him, and well, I wouldn't say nice. It's actually a depressing half hour. But I'm done with my bads.
Yep, me too. Oh, Jesus. So for this next thing, honestly, like I'm fucking bracing myself because once again, like the bad, anything I would come up with the little category we call the what the fuck category, I think would just be because it's a product of its time. Other than the devil itself, I almost put the devil in the what the fuck category, but I'm like, no, I enjoyed this way too much. This is going into good.
Yeah, he's beyond criticism. Mm-hmm. Most of this movie is beyond criticism. But I found 3 quick things. And my first one was, we're supposed to believe that this lady will resort to witchcraft to seduce what is essentially Dom DeLuise in a burlap robe.
Oh, that is an insult to Dom DeLuise, man. Come on.
And when we see the Maria the Weaver being fed a bowl of soup, who the fuck eats soup with their fingers?
Oh my God.
Like, did spoons not exist in the 12th century?
That was good, actually.
That's a what the fuck, and I will fight you for that. That is something that I just had to stop and be like, what?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you pointed out because I do have a note on that, and it says, my note just says, old lady eating soup. You can just pick up the bowl, right?
Yeah, you can drink it if it's liquid.
She's literally just ramming her hands into the bowl and just scooping it up and just licking it off her hands.
Like sucking it off of her fingers and throwing it in there. It is fucking mental. Like, drink it. Like, lift up the bowl.
I wouldn't have thought she was a witch, but I would have been like, so, first time having soup, huh?
Boy, this dementia thing's really kicking off, huh?
And she's an old hag, man. She must have been at least like late 40s at the time, so.
Oh, yeah, this is... Oh, the old people here, God, they look old. Like, really old. Like, you look at old people now, they look fucking great compared to old people back then.
What, are you trying to say that, modern medicine may have expanded our life expectancy plus the quality of life?
Yeah, and, compassion, empathy, better treatment. Yeah, who knew that it would have an effect on your outward appearance?
Yeah, really.
Oh, these people, they look like Muppets that have been left in a trunk for 40 years.
Okay, so you said you had another WTF?
One more what the fuck.
All right, lay it on me.
And it's these two ladies carrying pots. They stop in front of someone's door, then they lift up their dresses, sit on the pots, and we can tell what the fuck is going on. They are pissing in a pot, and then they lift up the pots, and they do the hokey pokey on someone's door. And that's magic?
It is. I do that like every night on my neighbor's house. I don't know if it's magic. I just like doing it.
Well, it is casting a spell because his bushes are not doing so good. But yeah,
I should do that. Is it some kind of spell that would put a hex on my neighbor's house so that it doesn't sell? Because I gotta tell people about this. So I think I mentioned last episode I actually have my house up for sale, and I'm not kidding. The day that we actually got our realtor came by and put our for sale sign up, our neighbors directly across the street, and when I say directly across the street, I mean directly. Their house is parallel with ours. If I look out my living room window, I'm looking in theirs. I'll be damned if their house went up for sale as well. So I got competition, not just on my street, like directly with my direct across the street neighbors.
Okay, well, if I got a spell that you can cast. You go to the hardware store, pick up a can of spray paint, and you put a swastika on their door.
No, what I thought about doing is like some night I want to go over to their for sale sign and hang my own sign underneath that says totally not haunted. And I told some of my friends I'm going to get them to walk by when they have people like coming and visiting their house, viewing their house, and when they come out, I want them to walk by. We'll try to time it so they meet them. It's just as these people are coming to the house and say like, "Oh, are you guys considering buying the murder house?"
I have my my own realtor story. When I was coming home from school, I was walking down the street and I saw this realtor sign, and it says like who's selling the house or dealing with the sale of the house. The realtor's agent is an Asian guy, and his name is Bin Wang.
Oh, Jesus.
So I went home, got a marker, and that N turns into a G so quickly. And I was really happy for the next 2 days just checking out Big Wang's house. and then that sign went away.
I bet.
So that was my little dalliance with vandalism, but I think it was well worth it.
That's pretty good. Good for you, Mike. Good for you.
And I think I'm done with the what the fucks.
Yes, I am too. So, wow, Mike, this is pretty unbelievable. Like, I never thought that we would be able to find something for the cutting room floor for this movie just because it's so old. I mean, come on, 1922? There's no way that any of our connections could ever find something that was cut from this movie. I mean, how did they even cut things from movies back then? Like, that's...
Physically, like with scissors.
Like, it seems like such a like a weird thing to think that they filmed some scenes or filmed these scenes.
The footage is so precious. You'd think they'd use everything they got.
Yeah. And considering what's in the movie, I can't even imagine what they would have cut out. But no, like, our connects are very impressive. Like, I can't believe one of them actually found this short deleted scene from Häxan. And honestly, it may be the greatest scene of this entire movie. Not of this movie. It might be one of the best scenes I've ever seen in any movie ever.
So here we go on this week's It Came from the dusty Swedish cutting room floor. Wow. I mean, shit. Like, I can see why this wouldn't even make it on YouTube.
Dude, my mind is blown right now. I cannot believe it. Oh wow, that
You thought nothing could top the devil? Wow.
I don't even know how that could all fit in there. But anyway, wow, it's just such a shame that we're in audio only format because these guys didn't even get to enjoy that. So that's just unbelievable. It's too bad for them. Like that.
Yeah, that's the only way this gets to live on.
Yeah, that scene would have changed their lives. I feel like I'm a better person now for having watched that.
I think I may have. Wow, I'm moved.
Amazing, absolutely amazing. Okay, well, we got one more segment to take care of, and I'm perplexed. I have no idea what you're going to go with this week.
Oh yeah, there's very little to choose from this week's Kill of the Week. But I have to hand it to the devil choking out the peasant girl from
Ah,
behind.
yes.
He is so fucking awesome.
They both.
I mean, everything else the devil does should have killed everyone else, but they managed to live and walk away. So I have to imagine that, when the devil gets you in a chokehold, you are not getting out of that shit. at least until one of you comes.
Yeah, they both had their tongues out for a little while in that scene. Okay, yeah, good one. I guess other than we actually did get to see some bodies burning at the stake at the end of the Inquisition.
Yeah, but that was too sad.
Yeah, like I said, man, that was just depressing. But yeah, good choice, I guess. I don't even know what else you would go with, to be quite honest. So, guys, that is Häxan. One thing I want to know is who else has even watched this movie? Are you familiar with it at all? Like, we want to hear about it. And not only that, if you agreed with anything we said about this movie, disagree, had some more trivia for us about it, like some information that we may have missed, then by all means, let us know. Well, you have a few ways to contact us. First of all, you can do it the old-fashioned way by emailing us at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And of course, you can check out what we've got posted on Instagram at instagram.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And if you're enjoying the show and want to help us with the costs of production, then you can just head on over to patreon.com/graveyard. For only $1 a month, you get to help us out with all the costs of promoting and upkeeping the show and getting it delivered to you every week. And as a little reward of doing that, you get instant access to some exclusive Patreon-only bonus episodes. Check those out. Once a month, we post a new Patreon episode. They're a little different than the regular show. We get to kind of do whatever it is we want. We've even done a couple of solo shows there, so check those out. But of course, we understand not everybody has the money to give us money, but you can still help us out a ton by going on to iTunes, rate, review, subscribe. In the long run, to be perfectly honest, that's what's going to help us out the most, so make sure to do that. If you're not an Apple user, whichever way you're getting access to the show, there must be some kind of rating system, so a good rating on that would help us out a ton as well. And if that's not possible,
download us on your friends' phones.
Yeah, do that too.
Go to a party, if people have their phones on tables, unlock that shit, and there you go.
However many devices you have at your own home, just download us on that too, because we could use the hits. And of course, if rating, reviewing, and subscribing is not possible, you can share us on social media, whichever way you access the show that way. And if none of that's possible, just by word of mouth. You know somebody that would be interested in listening to us talk about horror movies each week, or have a horror movie suggestion? A horror movie? What the fuck is a horror movie?
Well, those softcore movies from the 70s.
A little bit hoary.
Like,
but,
the original trauma movies before they leaned into gore.
It's a little hoary, but not too bad. You see a little side boob. But yeah, if you know anyone that would be interested in listening to us talk about horror movies, or they have some movies they want us to cover on the show, then you can just let them know about us. And Mike, other than the Graveyard Shift, what other, not quite so important things do you have going on?
Well, you can hear the revival of my very first podcast, Technobabble, on Geek Fallout Productions, iTunes, Facebook, and other podcast feeds. You just look for Geek Fallout Productions and you can hear Technobabble. There's plenty of other shows in the archives, but that's the only new show. And it's my tech discussion show. We talk about devices, gadgets, breakthroughs, science, tech, chemistry, biology, whatever the hell we feel is making the world a better place or giving us hope in the inevitable downward spiral that is our reality. And if you feel like not focusing on the real world, you can focus on the retro world and hear us talk about old school Nintendo Power magazine on the Playing with Power podcast. We read each issue first to last, front to back. And on that same feed, we also have the taste test where me and other different friends will be testing or playing or sampling old Nintendo games or Super Nintendo games, but usually old Nintendo games, that 8-bit goodness. Mm-hmm. And it's when I first got my hand in doing skits. So if you wonder why we do so good with the cutting room floor, it's because I cut my teeth on that.
Yeah, or that's where you can give us credit or where you can place the blame, whichever you prefer.
Yep.
Yeah, so check them out. They're all good. And obviously, Mike's life is about 85% podcasting, so, give him some support there. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We loving all the feedback that we're getting and all the questions and comments and just the good messages. And, we really need that. After what happened with this person, that was such a negative experience. Probably the only real negative experience that I've had in regards to the podcast since we've been doing this. So, it's really nice to hear, all the positivity from you guys. And I don't mean it all has to be nice and fluffy messages. If you actually have some constructive criticism for us, we want to hear that. We really do. We want to keep this show enjoyable, and we want to know where we can improve. Don't be afraid to say that, we missed something or there's something we could do different. Just, be nice about it. You don't have to be a jerk. That's all we ask.
And if we do follow through with it, maybe you can, hit us up on the Patreon for taking your words to heart and actually putting out a decent show.
There you go. And you Patreon donors as well, since you get access to all the exclusive bonus content, let us know what you think of those. I know we got a little bit of feedback a little while ago about one of the episodes, so let us know how they're doing. If you want us to keep, switching up what we're doing, or you just want to have more of what we're doing on the regular feed, just don't be afraid to let us know. But
yeah, let us know what's worth your
absolutely. But anyway, guys, just thanks again for everything. We're going to be back next week with another horror movie to talk about. But until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
And thank you again for joining us on The Graveyard Shift. Ha 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 ha!